And welcome to the OHIO podcast. I am your, guest, host tonight, the Wild Man Chris Wild, and I am joined by my co-host tonight, Eric Boggs. Of course, we are the official podcast of ScarletandGame.com. Go over there and check out some great articles written by tons of great writers, including that guy right over there. You threw me off, Eric. I'm on the wrong side for that. As well as we are the official Ohio State podcast of the College Huddle. Go to thecollegehuddle.com and check out all the great articles on there. Link to 75 sites now? How many
Seven,
different podcasts we got on there now, Eric?
75. 75.
75. We've got your college football news from everywhere on the College Huddle. Okay, so guys, this weekend had a great win last weekend. This weekend we've got Purdue. The Purdue Boilermakers are coming in this Saturday to Columbus. That guy over there, or up there now, because he's all over the place on the screen today. Eric is going to be there Saturday. I will be joining Corey and Lisa for the live game watch party this Saturday, which does begin at noon. Eric, another big noon kickoff. I believe we're noon the rest of the year, are we not?
The only one that we're noon, but we're not big noon kickoff against
Right. We're noon
Northwestern.
kickoff the
That's Big
entire
Ten
rest
Network.
of the year.
But I don't know about Indiana yet. That one's still to be determined.
Oh, that's
I'm
going to be a
hoping.
big noon.
You
As long as they
think?
keep winning, it's going to be big noon.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, kind of concerning. A little concerning. Columbus wakes up sleepy, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
don't think we have to worry about that versus Purdue or Northwestern, though, to be honest. I think we could probably sleep through the first three quarters and still wipe up the floor with those guys.
yeah, it's. I'll tell you what, Chris. It's when we dive into the stats a little bit, and when we talk to Dylan and Frank from the Boiler Express podcast, you're all going to hear they are giving themselves literally a 0% chance to win this football game, which is interesting because when you look at Purdue and Ohio State since the year 2000. Purdue has beaten Ohio State several times, as you can see in the last 10 games
And
here. They've gotten
until
us three
Michigan's big
times.
run, they were the ones with the most wins
Hmm.
versus Ohio State until
Yeah, they
since then.
were. And that includes Urban struggling against Michigan State. That includes Tressel having his back and forths with both Illinois and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So Purdue was a handful for about 2 decades there. When we played them, we don't play them every single
Right.
year, and that's to me that's kind of a bummer because West Lafayette's not a hard place to get to.
No, and it's a great little stadium. I mean, the
Hmm.
seats were great. We had small but great.
And that'll be discussed here shortly when we talk to the Purdue guys. But yeah, so the last time we lost to them was in 2018, and of course, we all don't want to remember that. But 2011 as well, and then 2009 are the three times they've gotten us in the past 10 attempts. Looking at the Ohio State Purdue by the numbers, Chris, Ohio State leads the all-time series 41-15-2. That 41 number seems awful high given how many times they've actually beaten us in the last couple decades. But that being said, still a pretty nice little run we've got going on there. We are on a two-game winning streak against the Boilers. Last win in last loss to Purdue that 2018 loss, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was the last loss Urban Meyer had as head coach at Ohio State.
I believe so.
I think he won out the rest of that year,
Yeah.
including a Rose Bowl win over Washington, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
Washington.
So yeah, that 20-49 loss still something that the Purdue fans like to remind us of. Last meeting in Columbus, however, was in 2021. Ohio State won that pretty easily, 59-31. That was a night game, by the way. I remember
Yes.
that. And that was a game where Purdue came in with a pretty good record and a pretty good quarterback, and it was hyped as being going to be a good game, and Ohio State just kind of handled it. And even though it looks like we only won by 18, um, excuse me, 28 there. It wasn't even close. Like it was a blowout. Last meeting in West Lafayette was in 2023. Chris, that's the one you and I went to, and we met Big Mac Mary.
Yep.
We won that one 41-7, and I'm pretty sure this year's team is not even as good as what we faced over there last year in 2023 in their house. Largest margin of victory came in 2013. That was a 56 to nothing shellacking. Largest margin of defeat came in 1967, a 6 to 41 loss. Ohio State's longest win streak over Purdue is 7 games, which happened between the years of 1989 and 1999. So good job, Cooper, the one getting that winning streak going there. Purdue's longest win streak over Ohio State is 2 games, and it's happened 3 times. First time between the years of 1943 and 1945. Second time between the years of 1947 and 1952. And the third time between the years of 1960 and 1967. Keep in mind, guys, like I said, we do not play Purdue every single season. Ryan Day's record against the Boilermakers is 2-0, and Ryan Walters' record coming into this game as head coach of Purdue against Ohio State is 0-1. Chris, take a look at the tail of the tape and tell me this isn't an absolute train wreck, pun intended, for Purdue.
Okay, Eric. So, yeah, the tail of the tape. This is ugly. This is real ugly. Ohio State literally owns every category on this board. Obviously, 38.1 points per game, 184.1 rushing yards per game, 280 passing yards per game. Ohio State coming in averaging 464.1 yards per game. Eric, that is more than 130 yards per game more than Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Third down efficiency, 41.7. Very good third down efficiency number. 22 of 23 in the red zone for Ohio State. And I'll tell you, you look, that's kind of a scary number if you're Purdue.
Well, that and you think about the one time we didn't score was the fumble last week
Yeah,
in the
the off the
going through
knee.
the end zone.
Yeah, so we should be 23 of 23 right now, if not for, just a little lackadaisical carrying of the ball there. But, I mean, you look at Purdue, 21 of 26 in the red zone. That's got to be depressing. I mean, you're looking at what, right about 33%, 34% roughly. I'm sorry. That's what they've missed is so about 60% is what they're 60
Mm-hmm.
63% is what they're
Yeah,
actually
and
scoring.
those aren't all
And those are
touchdowns.
not all
So
touchdowns. That's right. Defensively, wow, Eric. I mean, I do not predict a good game for Purdue here. You look, we're only giving up 12.7 points per game. We held a very good Penn State team last week to no offensive touchdowns. Purdue comes in here averaging 36 points per game, yes. But honestly, they've not had the toughest schedule. They haven't had an easy one, but they haven't had the toughest either. Especially when you look at some of those teams on that schedule are not what we thought they were going to be. Yards against per game, rushing yards, 91 being given up by Ohio State, 203 rushing yards surrendered per game by Purdue. Ouch, just ouch. I just I imagine Chip Kelly's got this little bit of saliva going on
oh
down
yeah.
here. Right. He is
Oh yeah.
drooling at this. They're giving up 243 passing yards per game, where Ohio State's only giving up 168. Uh, you know, Purdue's quarterback is probably fearing for his life right now. But I think the biggest thing is they're giving up nearly 48% efficiency on third down. Ohio State comes in averaging 41%. And we've had a couple of pretty tough games on that schedule with Penn State and Oregon. I just don't see any way possible that this is going to be a positive outcome for Purdue. And we don't want it to be, but I think this is going to be ugly, Eric. If you look at the tail of the tape says, look out, this could be one of those 50 plus point games for Ohio State. And you may not see an offensive score by Purdue.
I think you're going to be absolutely right. I don't think there's. I've tried to talk myself off the ledge that, and by what I mean by that is that, hey, don't forget about what Nebraska did. But I think there was a lot of things that went into that Nebraska game that caused it to be what it was. Coming off a bye, lackadaisical noon kick. Nebraska's back against the wall. By the way, since that game, Nebraska's fallen completely on their face.
Yeah.
Um, so you were going to get their best shot. Are we going to get Purdue's best shot? I don't know.
I
The,
don't know.
it,
They've got a best shot.
it feels like they've waved the white flag, and um, usually in a game like this is when you need to be very careful that the Boilermakers don't come up and bite you when you least expect it. But I don't see anybody on this roster
No.
that has the talent that can even make it a game. And so, you know, those statistics are ugly if you're a Purdue fan, and they look beautiful if you're an Ohio State fan. And I think that tail of the tape tells me a lot.
Yeah.
This is Mike Tyson going up against basically a jobber and getting served and probably knockout punch coming second round. Like that's what
Well, and
this
I was going to
is.
say, honestly, as you look at this, I'll be very surprised if Howard or either of our starting running backs starts the second half.
Yeah, and it'd be very interesting if they go with James Peoples or if they're trying to keep him out to redshirt him. We
Right.
might see some walk-on running backs in the second half, which would be incredibly interesting. Um, so yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna be an interesting game to get to witness and watch in person. So I'm looking forward to that. But we've got Dylan Kuhn, we've got Frank from the Boiler Express podcast. We're going to kick it to them. We have a great conversation. As always, those guys, you know what? Give those guys credit for Chris to even come on this podcast.
Absolutely. You know
I
what,
mean,
though? I really wish that as we record this, we saw that big win over Texas last night by Diebler and the basketball team.
yeah.
I really wish we would have had that under the belt before you recorded with these guys because, Eric,
Yeah.
let me tell you, DK, we're not just going to stomp you in football. We're coming for you in
Oh,
basketball,
you're that
buddy.
confident, huh? Well, listen,
I'm more confident in Diebler than I am in Ryan Day. So,
ooh, that's a hot take. All right, we're gonna kick it over to my interview with the Boiler Express podcast, and then Chris and we will be right back after the interview to give you our prediction and final thoughts. And welcome back to the OHIO podcast, everybody. As you can see, I'm now joined by my special guests from the Boiler Express podcast, two of my favorite podcasters on planet Earth. We've got Dylan Kuhn, the director of morale for the Boiler Express podcast. We've got Frank. He is the brain, as they call him, on the Boiler Express podcast. Frank, Dylan, welcome to the OHIO podcast, boys.
Happy to be here, Eric. I know your listeners love hearing me in the comments every week, and they're probably all very confused why a Purdue guy's in the comments every week. I just like you guys, okay? And you're stuck with me. Deal with it.
And Eric's in our comments just as often. So
It's very true.
yeah, always love the opportunity to talk with you, Eric. So thanks for having us on.
Absolutely, Frank. And I think basketball season started tonight as we record this on Monday. So that's why you're finding a couple Boilers smiling because basketball season is here, and it's not like they haven't been talking about that for the last solid 6 weeks or more.
Six, more like 8, 10. Jeez.
But this is a football podcast, so we're going to talk about a football game
Do
that's
we
going to be
have to?
happening in Columbus, Ohio this Saturday, 12 noon. Big noon kickoff. You guys made big noon kickoff this year.
Why? Was there no other game? Are we the only Big Ten game this weekend?
Doesn't Indiana play Michigan, or is that next week?
No, that is this weekend.
That's this week. Yeah.
Go Blue.
You son of a gun.
Bleep it out.
No, it's not. I'm leaving it. All right. So listen. Last year there was 3 of us handsome devils from the state of Ohio, 4 if you count Dylan because he actually lives in the Dayton area.
True.
We made our way to West Lafayette last year. I met you personally, Dylan. I also met Big Mac Mary. The legend lives on. We're going to talk about Big Mac Mary in this show, trust me. But guys, it was such a fun trip to get to meet you, Dylan. I've enjoyed working with you guys in the past. I'm excited to do it again. I know, Dylan, you and I are we're gonna be seeing each other this weekend at the shoe. We're gonna have a great time. Um, I'm looking forward to this for all the other reasons, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I expected this game to be a whole lot better than what we're probably gonna see. So I'll start here. What happened? I know the schedule was tough, but
Everything went bad. It started out like
explain this to me, guys.
so. Like I was a Walter, and I won't say I'm not anymore because he's still the head coach, and whoever is the head coach, I will support. Because I don't know. In my opinion, like if you trash on the guy a lot, you're kind of just setting him up for failure. Anyway, I came into the season like Walt's it's hype. Like he's relating with these youths. Like he's recruiting really, really well. He's like bringing a real high energy vibe to the program. And then we beat Indiana State 49-0. And then ever since that game, it has been a disaster. You talk about Notre Dame. I left in the third quarter right after I was talking to some friends, fellow Purdue podcasters from Boiled Sports, and I saw this lady. This kind of sums up the day against Notre Dame. Lady comes out of her seats, comes through the into the concourse, and I look at her. I'm like, she doesn't look good. Like she looks like she's struggling. And then I hear like when like a wet mop hits the floor. I heard that noise and she just lost her breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I looked at the guys I was with and I said that sums up today. And it really sums up the entire season because it's not been fun. It's hard to podcast about a team that's so bad. And I think another thing is like we have talent, like we have dudes. There's talent on this roster, and I think we talk a lot about the Hazel years too, and there was talent on those rosters too when you look at it. Raheem Mostert, I mean, like, there's a bunch. So like you look at the roster, it's a beefy roster. You got some dogs in there. Why they can't even? I mean, granted, we did go to overtime last week, so like we're playing close now, but those blowouts, Notre Dame, is just unexcusable. Like that to be having a home game and we're still selling out. This past weekend was a sellout. It was a big crowd, and to still just go out there and for lack of a better term, just poop your pants. Like it's tough. And brain, Frank's the big brain. He'll probably come at you with some stats and whatnot, but I haven't a clue, man. It's a disaster.
Yeah, and I think the main thing, Dylan, that you hit there was that we have players. We have guys who have made plays and who have played a lot of football in the past and have been successful in the past. There are 14 players on this team who played in a Big Ten championship. 14. Um, and we're seeing those guys just take a step backwards in terms of their production. And that's the part that I have trouble piecing together, Eric, is that we have guys like Dylan Thiedemann, like Kadrian Jenkins, who have been great players in the past who just aren't performing right now. And so I'm struggling to make sense of how you can have 22 guys show up and not look ready to play week after week after week. And I've scraped every excuse I can. I mean, but at some point it has to come down with the preparation. It has to come down to the preparation, or the lack of preparation, let's say. But I that's the only way that I can make it make sense in my mind. Last season Purdue was 4-8, but we were in every game except for the Ohio State game and probably the Michigan game. We were in every game. We we're getting blown out, but I think it's the lack of competitiveness this season that's been really surprising, and that's the only way I can make it make sense. I don't have any evidence out, that like the coaching or the preparation is lacking in any way, but that's the only way that I can just make it make sense in my mind when we have people just not showing up and not making plays like we're used to seeing from them just across the board on both sides of the ball. But we haven't been able to string together a game of having good defense and good offense. It's been either one or the other. Nebraska comes to mind. They did put up 28 points, but it was tied 0-0, right, Dylan, going into the fourth quarter,
Yep.
or at the end of the third, near the end of the third quarter. So
Yeah.
we just fell apart there in the fourth quarter. So the defense has showed up and the offense has showed up just at different times. We just can't play complementary football and can't seem to string together, on offense and defensive performance. So, yeah, I too thought this would be a different looking game right now, but I'm not feeling great to just to be frank with you. Ooh, pun.
Nice.
Yeah, Frank with
Nice.
the frankness. Is Walters on a hot seat?
Oh yeah. It's toasty. I mean, he's got to be feeling it. People have been. I mean, there's chants after the Northwestern game. Fire Walters. Fire Walters. So like, I don't know what's stopping them other than the buyouts. Like what, 9 million, Frank? I think it is.
Yeah.
$8 or $9 million, which is a big chunk of change when you're not Ohio State or Michigan. And it's or the team up north. Sorry. And so I don't know, man. It's weird. I don't know what. I'd be interested to be a fly on the wall when our athletic director Mike Babinski and Walter sit down and have a conversation, and what those conversations have been like. That I would be very interested to know, because, I mean, you look at it, overtime against Northwestern, it's 4th and 6, I believe. We could have kicked a field goal to take points. Instead, he goes for it, and nothing happens. It's just it's frustrating. Like it's really frustrating. It's not fun to root for a team that executes this poorly. And I'm normally like a very positive guy. I try not to go online and be like, fire Walters, fire everybody, it's all going to hell. I try to be as positive as possible, but they've made it very hard to string any sort of positivity on what's going on the field.
Yeah, and I mean to talk about the hot seat, I mean, I guess it's from the perspective of who? I mean, from the fans' perspective, yes. Very few fans, I think, still are in support of him. But I guess from the university standpoint, I mean, they've talked to people, and someone reported that they had some inside knowledge and whatnot that they are going to, at least look to, give them another year after this. Effectively. So I mean, there is that as well, but just the competitive aspect, or the lack of the competitive aspect, I think needs to be taken into consideration. I mean, he was brought in as a guy who self-proclaimed ran the best defense in the country. That hasn't we haven't seen it. You had an excuse the first season, and then we go out and we get four transfers from Georgia, and none of them have really panned out. I mean, so there's just this element of mystery, but to his credit, he has done a lot to try to change what's not working. Right, he fired the offensive coordinator. He took over play calling on the offensive side of the ball, passed off the defensive side to the defensive coordinator. The offense, he's trying different things offensively. He's trying different things defensively. He's moving guys to different positions. Dylan Thieneman, who typically plays 20, 25 yards off the ball, they put him in the box for a couple of games. They've moved Kadron Jenkins around a little bit. They've ran more power formation. I'll say they ran more I formation. They've run more 12, 13 personnel on run plays. So he is doing things. He's not just sticking to, his what he knows and his recipe. He is switching things up. So I do like that. So I just got to give credit where credit is due. But to answer your question, yes, the seed is very warm, in my opinion.
Is Hudson Card going to be starting this game?
Yes, he is. And they said that we probably will see both quarterbacks, Hudson Card and Ryan Brown, who have both looked good and bad at different times this season. But yes, the Hudson Card will start, assuming that there's no hidden information or injuries between now and then. But that was the press conference today. He did confirm Hudson Card will start.
Okay, given that information, explain for all the listeners and those who are watching how you perceive Purdue is going to attack Ohio State offensively this Saturday. How they would like to attack. Let me change that, Dylan. I saw that look you gave me, Dylan. How they would plan to attack Ohio State.
I don't even know where to start.
Give it to Frank.
Frank can take this one. I don't even know where to go.
When I look at Purdue's most successful offensive games, there's one major thing that sticks out. It's then Purdue's ability to run the ball. And when Purdue has had success offensively, it has come through that. We look at Oregon State ran the ball really well. Illinois, I mean, we came from a 21-point deficit to force overtime. We ran the ball really well. We were getting 7 yards per carry. Northwestern ran the ball fairly well. I think Purdue's biggest talent gap this season, or the area of lacking in talent, is the receiver room, just to be honest with you. So I think that Purdue running the ball early, and which may lead to a 3-and-out or two early on, I think that's going to be what Purdue is going to look to do offensively to try to get in this game and try to make it a game. Defensively, we have tried everything across the board. We've tried blitz heavy defense. We've tried, strictly man. We've tried almost strictly zone. I mean, so nothing's really worked. So I honestly can't even speculate what Purdue is going to try to do defensively. It could be something that we've never seen before, that Ohio State's never seen on film. But offensively, I definitely think we can look to run the ball early. We can probably look to get cards, some quick little RPOs too. Max Clare has been kind of reemerging as his preferred target, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get something going early with him. But running the ball is going to be the main thing I expect to see early from Purdue.
Shout out to our guy Devin Mockabee, absolute dog.
Absolute dog.
Great family too.
Oh,
Great
love him.
family.
We had his dad on the show last season. Incredible human beings. I love the Mockabee clan.
Yeah, they are. I follow them through you guys, and
Hey.
they are a cool family. Man.
Shout out to the Mockabee fan. The uncles, they're all great.
Yeah, and if you see any of them at the shoe, Buckeye fans, like, they'll talk to you. They are great people.
If you see anybody with the 45 jersey on, just say what up, and they will. They're lovable people.
Shouldn't
they're
be hard to
impossible.
remember that jersey number. That's Archie Griffin's number.
There you go.
Yeah, I heard he's kind of a big deal around those parts.
He's got a statue now outside the shoe.
And he dotted the eye, didn't he? He dotted the eye.
He was an eye dotter. He's only the second football player in the history of Ohio State, former player, to dot the eye.
Who was the first?
Earl Bruce, who was also a head coach.
Nice.
So, as an outsider, what does dot the eye mean?
Oh, so Script Ohio, the band plays Script Ohio.
It's very cool. I'll give him that.
A sousaphone player gets to dot the I, in Script Ohio, the band, and only sousaphone players get to dot the I, or very important people. They've had former. Let's see if I can remember them all. Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce, Jack Nicklaus, Archie Griffin. Now, gosh, I'm forgetting a few more. One of the astronauts from the state of Ohio. Yeah, speaking of,
you want to talk astronauts? Listen, shout out Neil.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, and former band directors, I think, have gotten to do that.
So only
Bob Hope.
people.
Bob Hope got to.
Bob Hope.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Are you more impressed I know who Bob Hope is?
No, because you know good comedy, so you would know who Bob.
Thank you.
Bob
Thank
is.
you. That's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said about me.
I've said some pretty good things.
You do hype me up. I do appreciate the hype. But no,
if you make it big time, just hire me as your hype guy. I'll just walk around hyping you up.
That ain't gonna happen. No, so I went to the Ohio State Iowa game with some friends, and I was like, I gotta watch the dotting the I, because that's like one of the coolest parts about Ohio State's game day. And by the way, the shoot, too many stairs. It really reminded me how truly out of shape I am, because we were on C deck, seats in front of the Purdue flag, so that was kind of cool. But oh my God, I thought I was climbing Mount Everest. It was too many steps. I was like, well, there's the elevator, but then there's a line of 100 old people. We're like, well,
hey,
I'll be there.
I'm gonna get in that line because I go to D deck. So.
Oh God.
But D-Deck's phenomenal. D-Deck sits underneath the press box. So you're out of the sun, you're out of the weather. It's good.
So I haven't bought my tickets yet, but I'm going to make sure they are not in the upper deck, because I may not live.
D-Decks are going to be all right. If you do D-Deck, you'll be fine.
D-Deck for DK. Ayo.
Yep, there you go. D-Deck will be fine, and you do want to ride the elevator though.
I got to meet the Big Nut. Can I meet the Big Nut?
Yeah, John Paul Peters. Yeah.
That's his government name?
That's his real name. Yeah,
that's a cool name.
John Paul Peters. He's been on the show. He's a great dude. I know exactly where his seats are at. Yeah.
Probably good seats. No, I saw him there. He was below my seats.
He's front row.
He's front row. Good guy. I want to meet the Big Nut on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, if you get there early, if we go early enough, Dylan, I'll make sure we go find him.
Word.
I know where he goes.
Not the cowboy hat guy. Bad News Bears, that guy.
Yeah,
not him. Big Nut, good people.
Yeah, we don't like Buckeye guy.
Does he still go to games? Is he not shunned?
Periodically.
Yeah. So he got the message.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's go back to the game. So we've got a situation like let's hypothetically say Purdue shocks the world. They've done it before. They've
Yeah,
beaten
but
us
at
before.
home.
Would that change everything for your program and for Ryan Walters? Or is it that far lost, that far gone?
I mean, it definitely would help his cause. I mean, I don't know how like it wouldn't. I can't see a way where somebody spends beating Ohio State at home, and you guys are what, 3, 2, 3,
Currently at third in the AP. We'll find out
third.
tomorrow night where we're at in the CFP.
But yeah, I don't know how somebody could spin that in a bad light. I'd probably rush the field
Our
in
fan
it
base
too.
would find a way, Dylan. They'd find a way
Yeah,
to do it. I believe.
if any fan base does find the negativity out of that, it would be Purdue Twitter. They'll definitely be like, "Well, wait a minute, wait a minute." So no, I don't know. Like personally, as like a guy who is in Ohio, born in Ohio, raised in Ohio, lives in Ohio, has to deal with you people on a daily basis. I love when Purdue beats Ohio State. Now,
I
I will
bet you
say,
do.
do I root for Ohio State when they don't play Purdue? Sure. Like I don't wish, harm upon you people. I hated Ohio State before I met you or you are Bogsy, you and Wildman and Aaron and the other fellas. Now I haven't been able to meet yet, but we will. I have a much better a relationship with Ohio State fans than I did before. But no, I don't know how anybody could negatively spin a win against Ohio State.
Yeah, I think it helps. Definitely. I think it's gonna cool things off a bit. I mean, when you have the worst loss in terms of margin of victory in program history this season, which we did against Notre Dame, I mean, that's a hard thing to erase from memory. I mean, it's inked. It's inked in the record book. So that was kind of the beginning of the downward spiral. But I think this would be a huge step forward for him. Do I think it's likely? No, no, not at all. I think Purdue will need a lot of luck. I think Purdue will need like 4 interceptions minimum or something like that. Four takeaways, let's say, to have a chance in this game. But yeah, I do believe someone will still find a way to spin that negatively. And there's some people claiming that we should just tank the rest of the season, and in hopes that that'll help oust them faster, and maybe they would spin it that way. But yeah, I realistically, I would think it would definitely cool things off a bit.
I tell you what, I'll drive up to wherever Wildman lives, and I would give him an earful. Give me his address. I'm there.
Well, I'll tell you this much straight up right now. You guys win, you will be on the show Sunday night. It'll
Oh,
be the Dylan
oh,
Kuhn experience.
oh,
Instead of the
oh.
Joe Rogan experience, we'll have the Dylan Kuhn experience.
I know people like give super chats, but can they take away money? Like,
We might lose some subscribers. I don't know.
yeah, your sub numbers may tank.
All right. Anything about this game in particular that they're talking about, or I mean like local media, fans, or is this like the season's that lost that everybody's just moved on to basketball completely?
Yeah, I think the big thing that I'm hearing is this is the biggest line against a Big Ten opponent in a certain number of years. Now, I haven't validated that myself, but that's the big storyline that's coming in about this game in terms of the betting line. I think what is it, 38.5 right now. I'll confirm that here. Regardless, 36.5. I'm sorry. So that's the largest line against a Big Ten opponent in like 10 years or something like that. So that's the big storyline. But I think as a whole, I unfortunately do think our fan base has kind of moved on to basketball and has just kind of chalked this season up to a loss, which is sad. It's never somewhere you want to be. But that's Dylan. Any differing opinions, or any big storylines that you can think of?
It's been mostly quiet. Me personally, when Purdue plays Ohio State, I like to throw a little trash talk in there. I haven't done that, not a bit. Haven't said a word. Not gonna say a word. No, normally like I'll go to work. I'm like, hey, who you play this weekend? Like the Boilermakers. None of that. I have put my head down and I've shut up, which is hard for me to do. For me to be quiet is very, very difficult. But yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know. Like it's so just going to the shoe. You have an Ohio State team that's incredibly talented. Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, who had that one hand grab at the game I was at, like just incredible talent. Like talent that is only seen at the shoe or the big house. I wouldn't say Penn State, but it's going to be hard. And I think Purdue fans are like, I don't know. Like it's gonna hurt. Like they're kind of just waiting for that punch, that gut punch. They're just bracing for it. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting to see for sure.
What do
Yeah,
Boilermaker? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
I was gonna say, I think at this point for me, I'm my measure of success is just seeing how Purdue compares to some of the other teams Ohio State's already played. Right? Can we do better than Marshall? Can we do better than Michigan State? And that's kind of where we are. We just have
Can
kind
we
of
do
lost a little
better
bit of
than
pace.
Marshall? That's tough.
Yeah. So that's where I think the fan base is at this point.
Golly.
By the way, Marshall's got a great podcast in the College Huddle, the Thundercast. Check them out; they're
It's a
fantastic.
good
Love those
name.
guys.
Good name. Not as good as Cocaine Willie, but it's still
No,
good.
that's just on a whole nother level,
Yeah.
literally. Um, what does Purdue fans think of Ryan Day?
He dyes his beard.
That
Confirmed.
was the first thing I thought when I saw it.
He does though. You can't tell me he doesn't dye his beard.
So if Ohio State wins the national championship, I am going to dye my beard. I'm going to grow it out and dye it black.
Do it.
And I'm going to call myself Ryan Day.
You need a
2.0.
big beard. Why does Mrs. Boggsy not let you have a big beard?
No, I like to keep it trimmed. I like to
I
have
mean,
a
you
Frank.
have a
I
handsome
like to
mug.
like
Don't
have a
get me wrong.
Frank beard. You know.
You don't. You have a handsome mug. See, I'm uglier in sin, so you got to grow a beard to cover it up a little bit.
That's not true.
Listen, I try, but no, you would look good with a big old beard.
I don't think so.
I think you
Have you never done it? Never like let it grow?
Not like. I mean, maybe what Dylan's got right now is
Okay.
maybe not that bushy, but
I
yeah,
just
close
washed
to
it
that.
too. Put some product in it.
There you go. Very nice.
I
Okay.
know.
So
In all
literally, that's all
seriousness,
you guys
I have a
think
lot.
about Ryan Day
No.
is the beard.
I'm answering the question seriously now. Yeah. In all seriousness, I do like Ryan Day, and I think it's unfortunate that every time a game is close, I see. I swear, like the Twitter algorithm has gotten so good, and that it's so good at showing me things that it knows it's going to make me angry. But I see Ohio State fans leaking in. They're saying like this has to be his last game. Like
Wild
this is
man, looking at you.
and that's the part that I don't like. But just I mean, not to speak negatively about Ohio State or their fan base, but
No, they're
I think he's
spoiled.
a great coach. I think he's a really good coach, and he epitomizes to me what a football coach is, and especially, and we talked about this when you were on our show last year, Eric. The interview where he's talking about Lou Holtz after the game at Notre Dame, right? Like that to me, that's what you want out of a football coach. I mean, he just so much testosterone. You know, where's Lou Holtz? You know, and all that. Like that was
I'm
awesome.
right here, Ryan J. Come at me.
Oh,
Try me.
that's painfully accurate. So no, big fan of Ryan Day. Would love to have him at Purdue, and
Yeah.
I just don't like when your all's fan base wants him gone because you didn't win a game by enough. That's
See,
my only thing.
and that's what kills me with Wild Man. Is he's like, fire Ryan Day, get rid of him. But and I'm like, I would kill to have a coach like Ryan Day and to have 11 and whatever record. I would kill for that. I would be happy. You all are so spoiled, is what I'm trying to say. You guys are so spoiled, and you're like that rich kid who doesn't get the toy once for Christmas sometimes. And I'll say, and I love you all very much. I say this in a way of respect. But when Wild Man gets on his fire Ryan Day, actually, you don't realize how good you have it. You could have a Ryan Walters and be 0 for a billion on literally every stat possible,
Now,
but
to
instead,
Chris's defense, he's also a Cleveland Browns fan.
Oof.
So-
wait, where is Wild Man? Why isn't he here? Is it past his bedtime?
Wildman needed the night off.
Whatever.
Wildman needed the night off.
Whatever.
I've been doing these by myself, and then he comes on, and he and I have our own little portion of the preview that we do. But no, it's been you're not wrong, Frank. Or Dylan, we are spoiled as a fan base. I don't know that we're the rich kid. That seems to be more of an Ann Arbor thing, but we're cockies. We're cocky SOBs, man. We are.
See, but Michigan pretends to be rich. I feel like it's a facade. Like they wear the
Uh,
knockoff Gucci's.
they're they're they feel entitled. The entitlement from that fan base is what really irritates us. They're pompous, they're arrogant, and they have no reason to be. You
You
know,
know,
and
it's
I've
going to
learned
be a big shame when they take away that national championship and that Big Ten title, and Purdue gets that Big Ten title.
I would love nothing more. I
I
think that
want
would
it
be
so bad.
I think it would be the greatest troll job of all time that Purdue hangs a banner.
And I was at that game. Dang it! Like I want that. I want that game.
But I digress. So I had to ask, just wanted to know what you guys thought. Um, let me ask you this question, and this will be the final question because I really think Ohio State fans don't realize this, but getting to know you guys, I didn't know this until I got to know you guys and follow you guys. The Purdue basketball fan and the Ohio State football fan, are they the same person?
Let's just say the average fan. So if you were to just pluck an average Ohio State football fan and an average Purdue basketball fan, yes. Yes, and I mean, I wasn't going to talk about basketball because that's where my mind is. We've moved on from football, but yes, you're exactly right, and it drives me crazy, Eric. It does when people. I mean, people are mad right now because Purdue only won by 17 tonight. Only won by 17. Come on, you should have won by 40. That's I mean that's so I again that's that drives me crazy. But yes, that's a very good analogy, Dylan. Any
Yeah, I would say there's definitely similarities. Like Purdue fans are like sort of spoiled when it comes to basketball, unless you ask an IU fan and they bring up their asbestos-filled dusty banners that are older than most people. Anyway, a little IU jab there. Yeah, I mean, like the expectations for basketball are light years higher than football. We're a basketball school. Everyone knows that. We're not going to sit here and pretend like, we're a football school. We're not. Definitely basketball takes the cake. But when you have the Canadian legend, Zach Edey, he's our guy. Now he's killing it in the NBA. Duh. I don't know who else would have thought otherwise. He's out there shooting threes now. But yeah, I definitely say there's a similarity. Um, we got our Final Four banner. Now we just need a championship banner and some big old rings, and leader in Big Ten conference titles. But Ohio State basketball. Hey now, Diebler and the boys, they're on the up and up. I'll give them that.
Love Diebler. Not just because I sat next to him on a plane. I loved him before that and I loved him after that.
Yeah, he's got my vote. I know that much. Excited about Ohio State basketball for the first time in a long time. Am I? No, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. Any last thoughts about this game before we head on out of here?
Lord
Uh,
help us.
not a thought, but a question for you, Eric.
Sure.
I'm just going to toss a similar question back at you that you tossed at us here. What has to happen in your mind for Purdue to win this game? Realistically, knowing that Purdue is one of the worst offenses in the country, one of the worst defenses in the country. If you just look at yards per game, points per game, any of those surface level stats, which are void of a lot of context, I'll give them that. But knowing all that about Purdue and just the fact that we have had very little success doing anything, haven't been competitive in an FBS game outside of Northwestern Illinois, what has to happen in your mind for Purdue to have a chance to win this game?
There needs to be several things in that formula. The first being Ohio State overlooks you, just like they overlooked Nebraska. And the second part of that formula is a slow start, just like we had against Nebraska. Turnovers, and then those three things. I don't like that this is another noon kick. Dylan, was Iowa a noon kick for that 3:30?
That's
It was
3:30.
3:30.
Okay. You're gonna see the difference between a 3:30 kick and a noon kick.
Ooh, I didn't think
It's
about
gonna be
that.
sleepy. Gonna be
Ooh.
quiet. Students might roll in halfway through the first quarter. Like, they were out too late Friday night. Like noon kicks in the shoe are There's no intimidation factor.
Really?
None.
Never thought about that.
None.
You know, I didn't realize that your student section now is on both ends of the
Yeah.
stadium.
So they split the student sections up between and put them in the end zones. They've been doing that for a long, long, long time.
That was like my first time in the shoe in like 10 or 12 years.
Yeah. There's several reasons why. Number one, students can't afford 50-yard line tickets. Let's just be honest. Those bad boys go
Yeah.
for a pretty penny.
I can't imagine.
But and then it is neat because they also start the OHIO chants in the stadium in the end zones with the students.
I did do the hang on Sloopy. I did do that once.
Yeah.
Once.
Oh,
I had to fit in.
Okay. You know what? Isn't Sloopy? Isn't she a great gal?
You know, you've taught me a lot about old Sloopy.
Yeah. So how
Apparently
about this?
Sloopy was a little sloppy, you know.
Yeah, how about this? So if you go back and you watch the original #1 hit, "Hang On Sloopy" from the '60s with the McCoys, you can look it up on YouTube. By the way, it's the McCoys. They were
Chris's favorite song growing up.
It was, yes. He still has it on his Walkman.
He was there on his radio. He's
Number one rock song was back in the '60s by the McCoys. "Hang On Sloopy." You can watch the original video they shot. The girl in the video who they got to play Sloopy, I found her on the internet.
She's alive?
She is alive and kicking. She lives in Tennessee, and she was born and raised in California. They shot it on a studio set out in Hollywood, California. The song, the video, and I'm bringing her on the show, man. We're gonna have the original Sloopy on our show.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Her and Wildman are probably the same age, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be able to swap stories, about back in the day.
I love Wildman.
So no, there's a lot of really cool traditions. Did you get to go to the Skull Session?
No, I've been to Skull Sessions before, and they're awesome, but I did not get to go. I hope. What time are they normally on a noon kick?
2 hours before. You want to get in there about 2.5 hours before the start of the game.
Because I've been to those before. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're a good time. It's a giant pep rally, Frank, for the fans with the band and the players come in, the coaches. It's in the old basketball arena, St. John Arena, and so that's cool. The Script Ohio is always, you got to see it once in your lifetime if you've never. It's one of the better old traditions in college football. It's not Kinnick Wave. That to me tops them all. I think the Kinnick Wave is the best new college tradition in college football. I love it.
We have shout and it stinks.
Yeah, and it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. By the way, did you know Oregon does the same thing?
Yeah, and they do it a lot better than we do.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they do. Our thing is hang on Sloopy between the third and fourth quarter, but I digress. It's there's a lot of great traditions. Really looking forward to going the game with Dylan, seeing him again. And guys, it's on the line, man. Year number 2. The Chris Wilds Big Banter Memorial Hard Hat here. It's either gonna go home with Dylan or it's gonna stay here in my studio. But someone's gonna win this rivalry trophy.
If I end up wearing that at the end of the day, I will. I don't
You'll
even know
never take it off.
Probably gonna need security. Like I'm probably gonna get mugged. Like Ohio State fans very friendly. Although I did go to a game with my dad. I think it was 2003. Ohio State won by a game-winning field goal, and it was cold. And I was like 2003, so I was like 7, 8, and I remember. I'm a wee lad. You couldn't tell by my mature ways. And I remember they wouldn't let me sit down. So every time Ohio State scored, my dad would like sit me next to him and be like, all right, grab your seat, get your seat. So but other than that, I've had all good interactions with Ohio State fans. It was nice. It was kind of interesting when I went to the Iowa game. I wore a plain red t-shirt, no Purdue gear, no Ohio State gear. I was neutral. I wasn't neutral, but I was. And it was kind of like I was going undercover. And like all the people I was with knew I was a Purdue fan. One of these Ohio State friends is Dakota Mathias's cousin. Shout out to Bronco. Anyway, Of course, I'm friends with a guy named Bronco. Does that even surprise you?
No,
Uh,
probably drives a Bronco too. I'm
hey,
guessing.
probably. I think he does. But it's interesting because like tailgates at Ohio State go on for miles. I mean, it goes on forever and ever. And then as I was walking to our tailgate, they were bringing the flag out of the stadium. I don't know where they were taking it, but that's a massive flag. That is a
Yeah,
large flag.
the ROTC building is where they take it back to.
But
They
this was
house it. And,
before the game, and they were
um,
walking with away from the stadium.
Interesting.
I was very confused.
Yeah, that is confusing. Usually they're
Yeah,
walking towards the stadium with it.
that's what I thought, and I
Unless
was
they had,
sober at that point.
unless they have a game flag and that was the all-time flag, not during the game. I don't know.
Knowing you
Um,
guys, probably.
there's probably some kind of ROTC tradition with that I am unaware of. But
And the cop and I was in the way, and the cop yelled at me, and I was like,
so interesting fact: when you're at the game this week, look up into the towers in the
oh yeah,
stadium. You will see sharpshooters, snipers.
oh yeah, saw them.
Did you see them?
They knew I was undercover. They had it pointed on me the entire game. But what about the two? I think they're sheriffs that stand on those little towers.
Yeah, so they're lookouts for the snipers.
But I know, but that's crazy because it's slanted, so their feet are slanted. There's no guardrail.
Yeah,
There's
and
no
they just
nothing.
stand there like
They
bosses.
stand there, and I part of the game I just sat there and watched them. Like they gotta have calves of steel, and two, my knees were buckling in the sea deck, let alone on top of those dang towers. Good
Yeah,
lord, I don't know. I was impressed. I was
yeah,
I'm
very.
gonna have to find a picture of this because it sounds pretty crazy.
yeah,
I remember as a kid, like going in the shoes as a kid and being like, "Whoa, like there's no barrier," and they still do the same thing.
yeah.
But I did see the snipers. Yeah, we don't have those at Purdue. We don't have
No,
100
you don't. But you know what you do have?
Purdue
Big
people.
Mac Mary.
Big
Shout
Mac.
out to Big Mac Mary.
Big Mac Mary will forever live in infamy between the OHIO podcast and the Boiler Express podcast. Dylan, do we want to spill the beans on who Big Mac Mary really is and
So
what
it all
this is about?
started when Wildman and Bogsy quickly realized that Ross-Ade Stadium was not built during the time where fellas like our size were a thing. Folks were much, much, much smaller when Ross-Ade was built way back in the day. And the seats are quite narrow. And, Bogsy and Wildman and Aaron sat next to a lovely lady. Her name is Big Mac Mary. And she wasn't very welcoming from the sounds of it. She didn't seem very happy that she was surrounded by Buckeye fans.
Nor was she happy that Chris, myself, and Aaron was taking up her season ticket seats because apparently we were taking up 4 seats and not three, and she was upset about that. So Chris and myself and Aaron had to stand sideways for the entire game so that she could sit her Big Mac butt down on the seat because she never stood the whole game. And she never saw a doggone thing because all the Ohio State fans were standing for the entire game.
My
She was
favorite part
very
was
upset.
when you guys were on TV and it's you, Wildman, and Aaron. And Aaron's just like, yep, I'm here too. You could just see his bald dome.
He was that Krabby Patty between them two big buns right there is what
He
he
was
was.
warm. I'll tell you that much. He
Yeah,
wasn't cold.
he was warm. That's
He was
right.
nice and toasty.
So that is
Standing sideways at Ross Aid is
yeah,
par for the course.
Oh,
yeah.
dude. So I like even me, like I'm 6'2" on a good day, and I'm digging my knees into people who don't give me leg room up front. Like if you're sitting in front of me and my knees, and I'm sorry, I'm my bad. Like it's like Zach Eady. So like where my season tickets are at Purdue, the basketball team sits like a little bit farther in front of me, and I've seen Wilberg at 7'2" and Z Edie at 7'4" sit in the stadium, and their knees are facing this way while their face faces that way. Like I don't know how they do it. Like just take them to the box. Like what are we doing? Take them to the press box. These
Put him on the
poor guys.
field. Let him watch from the field.
Yeah, that they'd still be an obstructive view though.
We had a great time. That's where Big Mac Mary comes from. That's the genesis of her. She had a lovely singing voice though. She sang that national anthem like she owned it. Like she was trying out for American Idol and she nailed it. Like
We got to
well
get her to
done.
sing the anthem. She's our new
Yeah.
anthem singer.
Yeah, she did. She did a fantastic job.
Shout out to Big Mac Mary.
Frank, tell everybody where they can find the Boiler Express podcast, would you?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at Boiler Express _, on Instagram at Boiler _Express. I believe that is right. On Facebook, Boiler Express. Anywhere you can find us. Anywhere you can. Words. Anywhere you listen to audio podcasts, you can find us. Apple Podcast, Spotify. We're on platforms that I've never even heard of because our RSS feed pushes it there. So if there's a place where you can find audio podcasts, you can find us on there. I'm pretty sure.
We're a big deal in Belgium too, by the way. We found that out.
Yeah,
Oh, is that
big deal.
yeah.
Yeah, big deal in Belgium and recently Finland. Finland's taken off. Got a lot of listeners
Good.
in the land of the Finns. So
Well,
It's
that's
because
because you guys
Frank.
have a hockey team.
Oh yeah, we do. Shout out to the hey, big wins this weekend. Those guys are killing it. We're at 5-5. We're 500. Started off a little slow. A lot of young guys on this team, but the veterans are starting to get the ropes. The youngins are getting the ropes, and the boys are buzzing. We got an outdoor game this year, and I have seen the jerseys for this game, and I cannot post them, and I'm my palms are getting itchy.
Where's it at?
Couldn't tell you. Somewhere in the Indianapolis area. I
Okay.
forget where it is though.
Is it against Indiana?
I think so. I think it is
Okay.
against IU's club team.
Dude, you're gonna go, right?
I'm gonna try. Yeah. Like what do we to make a roadie out there?
Well,
So
hey, listen, Ohio State's hockey team's undefeated. They're 9-0.
I was gonna say before we do end this, we need to go to a hockey game this year.
You could have went last year with
I
me.
know. Let's do it this year.
All right, let's do that. It's gonna be a lot of fun, guys.
Can we get Billy Bob out there?
Billy Bob's coming this weekend, by the way. I'm pretty sure.
No way. Billy Bob's gonna be
I
there.
think so. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love
think
Billy
Friday.
Bob.
I think Friday night we're all gonna get together. I'm pretty sure he's coming up. I'll get with him, but don't quote me on that. But I believe that was his plan, was to come for the Purdue game and be here in Ohio. So
One of my
there's a good
favorite
chance Friday
humans.
night we'll all get together and have dinner somewhere.
Just a bunch of positivity from that fella. He's
a
also like
fantastic man.
older and has a full head of colored hair.
Oh, it's got gray hair.
I don't know how he does it.
Hey guys, if you can't find the Boiler Express anywhere that Frank mentioned, you can go to thecollegehuddle.com, go over to the Big Ten, scroll down to Purdue. There you'll find them. They cover the Boilermakers in both football and basketball. So make sure you check that out.
And hockey.
And Dylan covers them in hockey as well. That's right. And they are a great follow on Twitter. So make sure you do that, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, guys.
Boiler up.
Hey, thank you, Eric.
You're supposed to say hammer down, aren't you?
Hammer down.
Isn't that what? Boiler up, hammer down?
Choo-choo.
Hammer down. There we go.
Ooh,
Go
sultry.
The OHIO podcast is brought to you by Mastermind. Mastermind specializes in 360-degree, high-definition mobile video mapping, GIS integration, and traffic safety studies. Mastermind cares about traffic safety and keeping you safe on the roadway. Visit Mastermind at onlinemastermind.com. Thanks again to Dylan and Frank from the Boiler Express podcast for coming on. Great interview. Hope you guys enjoyed that insight and the laughs and giggles that Dylan brings. And Dylan's really looking forward, Chris, to coming on a Sunday night on the round table and taking on the chat. I think that is going to be an absolute hilarity to see him go one on about 30 or 40 against the chat when it comes to Purdue and Ohio State fans. It's going to be a lot of fun after the season's over to see that.
He'll pick the first choo-choo out of town.
The first choo-choo out of town. Looking forward to running around with Dylan this weekend, and he's coming up to the game. And Billy Bob from down in Florida is coming up for this one too. So getting together, Billy Bob, Dylan, myself. Hope to have a video for you guys again with the three of us getting together somewhere Friday night. Maybe Chris, I don't know, depending on where we go.
Yeah, Friday night. Let me know.
Might kick it with you too, if you don't have anything going on. Again, reminder to everybody, this Saturday, 12 noon is the kick. Chris and Corey and Lisa will be doing the live game watch party here at the OHIO podcast, so don't want to miss that. You don't like Joel Klatt, you don't like Gus Johnson, no problem.
Nobody
Watch the
does.
game. turn the volume off, listen to these guys. That show's gaining in great popularity, and we're so appreciative of Corey jumping on with us and just taking the bull by the horns and making that his own. Also, if you haven't watched, Corey is doing a new show on Monday nights, a live show um, called Buckeye Therapy. I was his first client, and as we had a good discussion about Ryan Day and Chris, he informed me afterwards that you're going to be coming on this show soon, and I think Carson Hinsman might be the topic you guys go after. So that ought to be awful interesting. Maybe
Well, I'll tell
something
you,
else will pop up by then.
I'll be happy to talk anything about Carson Hinsman. This guy's a beast. I love
Yeah.
watching this guy play.
Yeah, he did. That I tell you what, and that's going into this game Saturday. That's one of the things I've got my eye on, Chris. Is I want to see, are they going to go with Jackson and Carson Hinsman again? I'm assuming they will. There's no reason why they shouldn't after that performance. I want to see the offensive line dominate again. I want to see the running game dominate. There's no reason why the running game shouldn't dominate. By the way, uh, I think the defense is going to dominate this game. I think both sides of the ball. I'm thinking this is going to be a blowout, Chris. I really am.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Eric. This Purdue doesn't have the horses to stay with this team. They just don't. I mean, God love them. They've got all the desire in the world. They just don't have the talent level that we have there, you know. And I really feel like this is going to be ugly, Eric. I mean, this could be Ohio State breaking 50. I really feel that way. I feel like this is a team where if we're going to break 50, this is the week we're going to do it.
The only thing that keeps me from saying that they're going to break 50 is
You don't
you
think the
get
starters will be in long?
yeah, you get such a big lead that you're maintaining in the whole last quarter and a half. It's just basically we get the clock running. And so that's why I don't think they're going to cover because of that. I think Ohio State could cover if they would leave their starters in and do a lot more damage, but I think the starters are going to score somewhere probably around 38, 42, somewhere around in that range, and then it's going to go to the backups, and they might score again as backups, and then I think the defensive backups are probably going to allow a touchdown. So I'm going to go with 49-14, which is just under the 38.5 point spread, I believe.
I'll tell you, Eric, I've got confidence here. A lot of what you're hearing is, despite the soft schedule, you're hearing people argue that Indiana should be right there in the conversation with Ohio State and Oregon. And the
Hmm.
reason that is because of how dominant Indiana has been in their wins. If I'm Ryan Day, I feel like I need to make a statement right here. This is a chance to make a statement. This
I,
is that game where you
I'm going
can
to
just
push back. I'm going to push back though, and here's why. I think health is more important than votes at this point for
and
Ohio
I
State.
don't disagree, but what I'm saying is you may see the backups get in and not see him take the foot off the gas like you normally.
Oh, well, if that's the case, then absolutely, let's roll, right? Turn it up to
And
11.
yeah, I think that needs to be done. I think that if Ryan's Day is as smart as everybody keeps saying he is, he realizes that he needs meaningful snaps for these second stringers, especially given what we've seen with the offensive line over the last few weeks. I could see this being a game where Ryan Day goes out, puts his foot on the gas, and doesn't take it off. It should be that kind of game. Absolutely. And I'm not saying do it with first string. I'm saying do it with first string, do it with second string. My God, if you get the third string quarterback in there and a third string running back, you do it with them. You try to score. You don't stop airing the ball out. You don't stop running the ball as hard as you can. You don't stop running all your schemes the way you should run them. I think this is a game that is an opportunity for Ryan Day, and I sure hope he seizes it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Ohio State 51-3.
Woo. Okay. So We both think big wins. We're
Yes.
just coming up with different endings in the fourth quarter, basically. I got 49-14. Chris has got 51-3. Let us know your prediction down in the comments section below. What you think of the score is going to be. Don't forget, like I said, we've got the call-in show tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern. That'll be a lot of fun. We've got the live watch party on Saturday at 12 noon. And then a Sunday evening, we will have our roundtable discussion at 8 o'clock Eastern on
And
Sunday
Eric,
evening.
if this is like the Nebraska game, you'll want to tune in Sunday night. That's all I'm going to say.
It's not going to be, but
It shouldn't be. It better not be. But if it is, I promise you a rant like I've never had before.
I mean, you just predicted 51-3, so I'm pretty sure your confidence not going to be either.
Yeah.
So, but either way, whether there's a rant or not, it'll be a lot of fun, and we do invite you to come back. Please hit the thumbs up, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel, and we really do appreciate that. And consider being a member. It only costs $3.99 a month. And all the perks that come with that. T-shirt after a month, free content behind the paywall. Free giveaways about once a month. We give free giveaways to our members. Last month, Nick Quint signed up, and the day he signed up, he's the one who actually won the beanie from Second and Seven,
Yes.
and he won some coupons to Roosters. And he said the nearest Roosters for him was in Canton, so he's gonna be making a little trip from Erie to Canton probably for some nice dinner at Roosters. My wife and I went to Roosters on Ryan Miller's dime, the Second and Seven dime, a couple weeks ago. It was fantastic. They really do work. They didn't even say nothing. We just handed it to them. 2 coupons for 2 meals. Boom, $10 off our meal. Sarah and I ate at Roosters for about the same price as going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
So you can't beat it. So we're so appreciative of everybody. So it really, listen, $3.99 a month, and some of you got $10 or more. Well, one person asked for 5. We gave him 5 coupons. That's $25.
Eric,
So
I feel like we should give something away this week.
you think so?
I just feel it.
Okay.
I don't know what yet, but we'll give something away.
Oh, we've got stuff to give away.
Oh, we got
So,
all kinds of stuff.
all right, please do that. Hit the like button. Consider being a member, everybody. Ring the bell, get notified every time we go live. Enjoy the game this weekend, guys. A lot of things going on here at the channel. We have more videos coming your way, not just the lives, but other videos. We got a basketball video coming your way as well. So there's all kinds of stuff. A Colorado video coming your way. All kinds of good stuff. Don't miss it, guys. Till next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen High with all your heart. Chris, you know what to do. OH.
IO.
Go Bucks.